Hello, everybody. Welcome to 50 Conversations with 50 Strangers. This was a weird idea that I had. When I wrote the Mosaic, I felt drawn to the Mosaic. Actually spoke to me and said, "I want you to do what Mo does. I want you to go around the world, and I want you to sit with the people that nobody sits with, and talk to the people that nobody talks to, listen to the people that nobody listens to, and get a sense of what is this world actually saying." We're this world is made up of 8 billion people. 8 billion people. And so few of their voices are heard. So few of people feel like what good would it be to say what I want to say? I'm only one voice. I'm lost in a world, in a sea of voices. And the world is so loud. How will I ever be heard? So the goal of this little show here, the goal of these little conversations is to quiet the world for a few moments and to just sit with people who have said they would like to have this conversation with me, and just allow them the space to say what they want to say and to be who they want to be and to share with us the beauty of their souls. And then we will, my hope is to put all of these together into a sort of 1 hour 2 hour documentary series, and to start to share with the world the voices of the people that don't get heard as often as they could, or even the voices of the people that do get heard but aren't magnified enough. So it's just an avenue and a vehicle for us to really listen to what people have to say. Excuse me. So I am honored today to have someone I met through a seminar that we were both a part of. She's presented and I presented. And from the moment that happened, she has been such a kind and generous and loving presence to me, and so supportive and so beautiful. Her name is Seshni Moodliar Rensburg. And when I put out this idea that I would like to have conversations with people I don't know, she said, "I would love to do that." And I was honored and privileged to have her. So Seshni, welcome to this conversation. How are you today?
Thank you, Danny. It's an honor and privilege to be invited to do this talk with you. You know, I thought it was a dream come true. And because Vikki Thomas, who does the HIT talks, actually, we got introduction through her. I had known a lot about you already because she spoke very highly about you and about your book, Mosaic. So even before talking to you and chatting to you and hearing you speak at the HIT talks, which I was also a presenter, I already knew so much about you. And it was a presence that I actually wanted to get to know, and I wanted to read your book. And therefore, I reached out. And even when I listened to your talk at the HIT talks, what you said made so much of sense to me, not just because I'm a psychiatrist and a doctor, but also just in perspective of trying to understand life, especially as we all go through this COVID-19 pandemic, which some of us are dealing with it easily, some are not dealing with it so easy, and some are finding it extremely challenging. But I felt the words of wisdom that you gave on that day of the HIT talks was a message for me, and it was something like it was divinely guided. Um, and I did reach out and tell you that. So, therefore, it's such an honor and a privilege to be able to share my voice today, but also to have this conversation, because it feels like it's something which I think your message, I don't know how to put it in words, because I do believe it's very divine, very sacred, and this time that we have together now, even to talk about things, is so important.
So, need I say more than have the proof in the pudding of how beautifully warm and kind and generous this woman is? And so, I was touched by from the first moments. I was touched by her presentation. I was touched by her incredible support of me and what we were doing. And so, it when good things happen and people are supposed to meet people from different parts of the world. I'm in San Diego, and you're where again, Chesney? Where are you located?
I'm in Milton Keynes in the UK.
Yes, so you're in the UK.
Yes.
So as convoluted as technology is, without it, there would have been very little chance that Sesni and I would be sitting together. And not only are we sitting together, but without knowing her much, I just feel so close to her already. And one of the things that I really want to sort of highlight for people is that when we take a few minutes to get to know somebody, we get to know a different person than we thought we saw. That's what happened in the Mosaic. Mo would meet these different people and just common ordinary people. And what the person he came up to every single time was never the person that he left, because once he spent a few minutes listening to them tell their story, he saw a completely different person. And that person touched him and moved him. And so you've touched me and moved me just in the short uh, episodes that we've had together of conversation. And it's an honor to have you here. So tell us a little bit more about who you are and what you do.
So I'm a psychiatrist, I'm a doctor, but I have a lot of other hats on as well. So I'm a mom as well, and an entrepreneur, and an author, a radio presenter, and also a lot in TV and in the newspapers. And it's all about raising awareness of mental health conditions, because I do believe, I think the Mosaic is something I've already got that understanding, even without reading it, but from hearing about it from you, from Vikki, and from what I've read from the reviews. It's something that is a very psychologically driven book.
Mm.
And you probably can shed more light on that. And that is what is so intriguing about me wanting to know more about the Mosaic, because I do believe, so as much as I'm a psychiatrist and doctor trying to raise awareness about mental health conditions, trying to heal the world in the way that I can see fit from the knowledge that I've got and the skills that I've developed over the years. I think your book is something which is going to be prescriptive and something that I'm going to prescribe to people to
Wow.
actually help them with the journey of their mental health, or life just in general, of trying to understand life as we know it.
Wow.
Um, so coming back to me, I see patients in clinics and hospitals. I see them online now because of the COVID-19. I teach doctors worldwide because I have a book, The Past the Cask, which is used worldwide. I completed that book in 2012. So I teach psychiatrists globally how to communicate with their patients and for their final exams, for the CASC exams. So it's used by psychiatrists worldwide, in the USA, in the UK, and 40 other different countries. So at the moment, I'm busy teaching psychiatrists globally. So for me, it's whatever I do, it's a lot of passion into it. It's a lot of love, passion, and gratitude. And also, it's a lot of divine intervention and divine guidance. So I think that's probably why we connected so much.
Yeah.
In addition to that, sorry, I do have to say I do other things as well. So I've started a Happy Doctor's Kitchen a few years ago, and that's inspired by my parents, my mom and dad. Both are late, but my dad had a spice shop. My mom was very influential in teaching me about cooking. So together, I learned about the medicinal value of spices and curry powders. So I'm trying to teach people the value of you are what you eat. And as Hippocrates says, let food be thy medicine and medicine thy food. So I'm trying to use a whole lot of a holistic and more integrative approach in helping my patients. So it's not about just prescribing medication as a doctor and psychiatrist, but it's about looking at, healing and helping people, like you've shown in your book, in different ways. So, and I do have lots of messages. I do have a voice, and I'm so grateful that I'm going to be able to share that with you today.
I love that. And so, of all the things that you're doing, obviously, it feels like you are being out there and you are speaking to people. Do you feel like what you're saying is being received and heard?
I think yes and no. So I think what happens is there's a saying that when the teacher appears, the student will be ready. Something to that effect. And I do believe that whenever you are in that space, whatever vibration we are in, And if we are resonating on the same vibration, then we will connect. So yes, the people that are on the same vibration as me, the people that are willing to hear the message, like the message that you have in your book, and as a teacher and as an entrepreneur, so and so many other things that you are, in terms of you doing your meditation and becoming a monk. So we're very similar in that aspect. So my message is also about meditation, about mindfulness, about the power of now, about gratitude and love, and passion and kindness. So where if a person is in that state of receiving it, they will receive it. However, not everyone is on the same vibration. And as you know, we are going through such a challenging time with the COVID-19. I say challenging, it's been challenging for a lot of us, but some of us, because we have more resilience, as I do, I've mastered resilience and happiness, that despite whatever challenges and setbacks I have been faced with, which has been real, and some of it has been, quite detrimental in terms of losing people during this COVID-19, I've still managed to overcome those difficulties and challenges. So as I was saying, yes, people, the message is going out there, but it probably needs to reach more. So I do hope that with your talk today and with this program that you're going to put together, that my voice will be heard. And that would be amazing for me to actually have that opportunity, because I do have a lot of wisdom to
Yes.
share with a lot of people.
Yes. So if you would strip everything away to the one thing that is most important, what is it you would really like to say to people?
I think there are so many things that are important in life. And I think what we do need to realize, and what the COVID-19 has taught us, and something you said as well, just before we started, is this moment. I think, there's so many things I can say. My family is important, my children, my husband, my health, myself, my own image, myself. I'm so important, friends, and this earth. But I think what I would really want to say is that at this moment, The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle describes it beautifully.
Yeah.
So he talks about this moment, and you spoke about it earlier on, is just sharing this moment, and knowing that in this moment that you are sharing with a person, or any moment that you're sharing with a person, that you need to be present in that moment. And I think that is one of the most important things that for me is going to help me get through whatever I'm going to be faced with. And it's going to help other people as well. So being in that present moment, being mindful, having that meditation, that is the most important thing. And that is where the divine resides. And I'm sure you might have your words of wisdom. You've been a monk, you've meditated, so you've spiritually advanced yourself. But being in this presence, being in the power of now, that is where the divine and spirituality resides. And if we can all tune into that, I think that's going to be the most important thing for each and every one of us.
So for people who long for that moment, for people who hear you and think, wow, I would love to be able to be more present in this moment. I just don't know how. I mean, I'm so caught up in the stories and the things and the making money and doing what I have to do. What would be one little thing you could suggest to them that would allow them to slow everything down and just be moment to moment? What would you say to them?
I have to say two things. The first is, please read Eckhart Tolle's book, The Power of Now, because unless you read that book and you understand the wisdom and the divine message that he has to share, then you will realize what I'm saying is that, and what Danny has actually told me even before we started. He told me that this present moment is so important, and having this talk and this moment, of us having this conversation today. I think reading that book is life changing, and especially for people caught up in the busyness of life, in the monkey mind, in the rat race. in the money making. We all have to survive, and we all want money to survive. People believe that money is the only way in which we can survive. And there is some truth to that. But I think being present in the moment, when you're in that present moment, and if you read Eckhart Tolle's book, it was life changing, because I realized that there is magic in that moment. When
Yeah.
you start to experience that moment, you experience magic. Instead of getting things to happen, you go with the flow, you go with the divine intervention, and everything just flows, and everything becomes effortless. And that's where the magic of life is, the blissfulness, the happiness, all these things that we are striving to achieve is in that present moment. And the one thing was to read the book. And the second thing, as a doctor and psychiatrist, is practice mindfulness. So, like you would exercise and you would exercise your muscle, it's the same with our brain. So, because I've mastered the brain over these 20, 30 years of being a doctor and psychiatrist, I know a lot about the brain, the neuroscience, the anatomy, and everything else that goes in with our emotions, our feelings, and our behaviors. And in order to come to that present moment, you need to practice mindfulness and meditation.
Fabulous. If money weren't important, would you still be doing what you're doing now?
Yes, I would, because for me, it's not about the money. And I will explain that a bit more. So, I did say that we need money to survive, and somewhat that is true. But if you look at the world today, it's all about a circulation of the money that we have. So whatever we do, we put it out there. So a lot of people, it's about just gaining money, gaining monetary value, becoming the richest man or the richest woman, or attaining lots of assets and material wealth. But for me, it's never been about that. And I think that's a reason why I've been so successful, and I've achieved what I've achieved in this lifetime. Because for me, it's not about the monetary value. It's more about putting my heart and soul into whatever I'm doing without expecting anything in return. And because I've done that, I've been able to still receive whatever is due to me, if that makes sense.
Totally.
And it's
A- And so for people who want that, because I bet everybody wants that. I bet everybody would like to believe that the passion that they feel for the life that they have is valuable. And if they were to just do that, things would work out. That they don't have to be stuck in jobs they hate, or don't have to be stuck in situations or marriages or anything. I mean, so many of us are living lives we don't want to live because we're scared to live the life we do want to live. What would you say to those people that would be one little thing they could do right now? Again, just one little thing that could help to switch the momentum in a different direction.
so read the book, Robert Kiyosaki's book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, because that changed my life. I was stuck in a 9 to 5 job, trying to balance my family life, because I wanted to still be there for my kids. I have 3 kids, and I'm passionate about my work. So whatever I give, I want to give 100% or 150%. And I felt I wasn't able to give it all to everything, to my family life, to my personal life. To my children and to my work, because something had to give in. But when I read that book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, it was recommended to me by a colleague. And when I did that, I realized that I could take that leap of faith. I could break that cycle of the 9 to 5, and I could then pursue my passions. So, whatever I was passionate about, I was scared to take the jump, because it would mean losing that 9 to 5, that stability, and that salary that I was getting from the 9 to 5 job. But when I read his book, and I understood that actually I could still be able to have it all, pursue my passions, wake up in the morning and be so happy about what I want to do in the day, and achieve, and whatever I want to do in the day, I would be able to achieve it because I'm doing it with a passion, and I would be doing something that I want to do as opposed to just being stuck in a 9 to 5 job. Don't get me wrong, being in a 9 to 5 job is something which it has helped. I've been able to become successful from being in a 9 to 5 job, and a lot of us still depend on it. But I think for me, it was easier to get out of it and to follow my passions, because I can tell you that one of the acronyms and things that I'm working on, and that will be out soon, is Rich. It's a book called Rich, Realizing I Create Happiness. So linked to this, me leaving my 9 to 5 job, was where I realized that I create the happiness, that my happiness didn't depend on anyone else. It didn't depend on my spouse or my children or the job that I was doing, but that I could actually create it in every moment, and that you can do it by doing so many different things. And the more I realized it, the more I was not bound by the attachments which we all are, what a lot of people are bound by. The more I realized that I could create this happiness. And the reason why I'm talking about happiness as the next thing to leaving a 9 to 5 job is because the happier you are, the more successful you become. And the more you put yourself in that happy state, I can't explain it. Like, people ask me, how come you're so happy all the time? Even if you're going through difficult times, you're always smiling. But genuinely, I feel that happiness. I live and I breathe that happiness. And for me, that should be your mantra, is being happy. Or, if you want to be successful, then let that be your mantra. But whatever it is, I think the one thing that you can take away is just believing in yourself and believing in what your purpose and your life purpose is, and following that dream. I think that will be the most important message.
Fabulous. Quick answer. Speak or listen? Which is more important?
Listening.
Fabulous. So, with listening, what do you feel the world is trying to say to you that it wants you to hear?
At this moment in time, it's about pausing and reflecting and showing more kindness and compassion, in oneness with the rest of the world. And that's a message that we are getting from the COVID-19 pandemic. As much as it's been about me speaking out, sharing my wisdom, and educating people and raising awareness about COVID-19 and how I am trying to save lives, but it's about me learning these lessons which we've all had to learn. And that is about taking care of our planet, pausing, reflecting, taking time to appreciate the little moments in life. How precious is the moments that we have now, because we are losing loved ones through COVID-19 and other tragedies. And also to realize that the more compassion, kindness we show to others, that it doesn't cost anything. It can be picking up a phone call, it can be a text message, an email, something you see on social media that you can help someone. And even like you doing this today, Danny, it's also helping share a message. It's showing kindness, it's showing compassion, it's showing so many different things, because through this, the message is going to be 50 different people, 50 strangers that are going to be sharing their message with the world. And that's going to be possible because of you, because of your book. And so I think this is what it is. It's about, we are getting so many messages, and it's about magic, that if we only take the time to actually be in that present moment, that we will be able to appreciate the love, the gratitude, to have that gratitude and compassion and kindness for one another. And that together we will get through this, that we will not walk alone in this, that we are not alone in it. So we are going to get through this globally.
I love it. And if I can be so bold, as to invite you to answer more personally. Because in the answer to speak or listen, you chose listen. And so, what I want to know for you is what do you feel the world is not saying to us, but right now, what is the message the world wants to tell you that if you would only listen to it, it would change you, it would uplift you, it would elevate you? Is there something that you feel it's trying to give you right in this moment, or right in these moments, not for the world to know, but for you to know, to make the shift in something that you're doing? Is that do you feel comfortable enough talking to an imperfect stranger like myself and sharing that with me?
Yes, no, I do. I do believe that the world is showing me it's more about my spirituality, and that is about my spiritual growth. So I'm in that space and time where, and maybe you can understand, you might have been there, but in this moment in time for me, as much as it's all about the pandemic and helping others, it's about my own spirituality and about me growing, dealing with karmic issues, dealing with family and friends and relationships, and dealing with life as I know it. And am I willing to change my perception of life? And that is what struck to me also when you did your hit talks. You spoke about, and I did question you about it afterwards, because I was struggling to actually change my perception, because I was perceiving things in one way, in through my eyes. But as you pointed out in your talk in the of the Mosaic and in the hit talks on the 20th of June, is that it was about changing your perception. So I think I've been shown that I need to change my perception. So maybe whatever I'm perceiving, it's all good, and it's amazing, and it's about growth and learning and showing kindness and compassion. But it's also about seeing things from a different perspective, through a different lens, through different eyes, you know. So
Absolutely.
it's not that I've not been seeing that. I have been, but I think maybe I have been, maybe have I have had some blinkers or blinders or whatever you might call it. As much as I think that I'm spiritually advanced, and I am enlightened, and I meditate and I practice mindfulness. I show love and gratitude and kindness, but I still have a lot of learning to do. I have a lot of growth in my spirituality, and changing my perception is important, because it's not only about looking at things from my point of view, it's also understanding from another person's point of view.
Mhm.
And I think your story about Mo is something, the message I had got a few years ago. I read a book, Human Moments. It's by a psychiatrist, where he talks about different encounters he's had. And that book, the message was for me very clear, where even he, through different encounters, he realized that, speaking to a stranger in elevator, speaking to a person working as a cleaner, speaking to different people, how that changed his life, and how he not only changed their life, and they also changed his life. So that's something I've always been trying to incorporate in my life, having these conversations with people. But maybe along the way, I didn't actually take a step back and actually really look at things from their perspective, even though I was professing to be doing something similarly. But I think now what the message is for me is to change my perception and see things from other people. And in order to grow spiritually, I need to do that. That's a lesson that I'm learning.
Teacher or student, which is more important for you to be?
I would say both.
You can only pick one.
Student.
Wow. And so, does that surprise you that you pick student?
No.
I love that. Okay.
Because, yeah, do you want
Go
me to
ahead, please.
So I am a teacher. I love teaching, and I'm very good at it. I get a lot of good feedback.
Yes.
I think being a student for me, as I said earlier on, it's about learning. So I'm learning every day, every moment, every lesson, everything in life. Life is teaching me so much, and I'm learning from people. No matter what, I like to think that I want to be very humble, and I think the more humble we become, the more we do things with the humility and without expecting things in return, the more wisdom we are shown and the more lessons we are shown as well. So I think because I'm willing to learn, because I've put myself out there and I don't profess to know everything,
Yep.
I think I'm learning all the time. And I think that is why even this interaction with us has been so important for me, because when you spoke that day, it was, I had got goosebumps on my, throughout my body. And whenever, and it's happening now. So
Wow.
whenever that happens for me, it's for me, it feels like it's a message from the divine. So I felt in that moment in time that whatever message you were giving was divinely, it was divine guidance, and I'm always open and in tune with the divine. However, because of life comes in the way things happen, we're not always in tune with it. But I think I always want to be learning. I want to be the student. I've learned about meditation. I'm a doctor and psychiatrist, so I didn't need to learn about meditation.
Yeah.
A lot of my colleagues wouldn't do it, but I'm willing to learn about it because I know that is the way. And I want to teach other people about it. But I think it's more about me learning. It's about me being the student, being willing to be open to the teacher. Like I said, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. And so I do believe that in some way, even this interaction is a student teacher, interaction.
Student for me. That, but thank you. I
I
appreciate
don't think
that.
I'm going to read your book and then I'm going to tell you. I really from your book, I really know it's so psychologically minded.
Wow.
Um, and also there's so much. The one thing was about the perception, the other thing was about you talking about those experiences with different people, and I think that is such a life lesson that everyone should know or should actually experience. Through
Thank you.
Mo's eyes, you actually opening us to a world that people would have never realized. And there's just so many hidden messages. You spoke about the box earlier on, of gold. It took me back to Eckhart Tolle's about, where he was at the brink of suicide, and someone told him, and there was a beggar, someone was begging, and he was sitting on a box, and they asked him to open that, and that box was filled with treasure, with gold.
Mm.
So I think through your book you're going to teach so many people, and I think you are a teacher, but obviously you're saying it's student. I'm open to that as well.
Love it. Well, yeah, again, thank you for your multiplicity of generosity to me. I mean, it's just so I feel so loved by you and so honored by you and so thankful, and I hope you feel that in return from me as well. Um,
I do feel that, and I think that's why it's been so easy and effortless, because from the time we've had our first contact, it's been like with you. It seems as if it's effortless, and it
yes,
it feels like a mosaic. It's such a strange feeling to put it in words. I'm a writer, I'm an author, I love talking and presenting, but just to actually put it in words, it's so difficult for me to actually explain. Maybe you have a way to explain it or to interpret what the interaction has been. But it's been so effortless, and it's been sort of seamless, And it's like fitting the pieces in together, like a puzzle's coming together. So this is probably one of the puzzles in my life, a piece that is meant to help the mosaic in my life.
Thank you. I think for me, one of the most important things is, and I'll be interested to see what you actually feel when you get the book and you read it, because you've already ordered it and it's coming to you. But if your experiences matches what you believe it will be, well, I would love to see that. But one of the things that is really interesting to me is not as much the story, as beautiful as the story is, and as important as the words are, and as important the concepts that come together in the book are. It's really equally important to me the space between the words, because what happens in our conversation of words is that we can inspire, we can give hope, we can maybe have a little transforming of people. That's what hope is all about. The hit talks is hope,
Yeah.
inspiration, transformation. But I really believe it's the space between the words. It's the vibration that comes once the mind is occupied, and the interaction of heart and soul that happens when the mind is occupied and the heart and soul are open to the communication. And I believe your heart has been so open and your soul has been so open that it's been really easy for me to connect heart to heart and soul to soul with you. And your mind hasn't gotten in, even though your mind is beautiful and glorious and thinks, it hasn't gotten in the way of allowing that to happen. And so I don't really think it's the words that I've said as much as just this feeling that is poured into you, which is what I do when I speak to people. Is I just try and use my words to camouflage the actual thing that's happening, which is a transmission of love and upliftment from heart to heart, soul to soul. Let me ask you a couple more things, and then I want to honor your time.
Yes, you've said that so beautifully, and that is possibly what I was trying to say. So it was possibly that space that between the words. I've heard you say that before, and it was also the vibration. So for me, all that will be the word that I would use is the magic. So that's
Yes,
what you sort of bring about the hope, inspiration, the transformation through the space, through the words and the vibration and that transmission, as you said. So it's not so much about what you're saying, it's about that space. And I get it. And
yes,
I think that I believe that is true.
thank you. Do you feel like you fit into the world, or do you feel like you're a stranger in the world?
I've always felt like I fit into the world. So I think if I have to answer that is ever since I was young, growing up, I always felt I did fit into the world. And I never looked at, my outer appearance to be something that would prevent me from achieving whatever I was meant to achieve. And I think because I've had that inner intuition, I knew from a young age that I was going to be a doctor. I knew that I was going to be leaving home and coming to another country. So whether it was intuition or whatever it was, the pieces of the puzzle always fitted in, and it was always that intuition that I had. So I do believe I fit into the world. I believe that I'm not trying hard to fit in, because I feel that, a lot of people are trying very hard to fit into certain groups, certain communities, certain affiliations, and certain tribes or whatever you're trying to fit into. And I think that for me, I've never had that desire to actually fit into those things. So it's been easy for me.
Beautiful.
I might make it seem like everything's so easy and that it's effortless. But again, it comes to you, what you said about perception. So that's why I'm saying, like, my perception is that I don't think I'm trying to fit into the world. I know that, like even this interaction with the two of us, like Vikki said once, that, every person she meets is like, you feel like you've met them from a previous lifetime. And even when she introduced me, she said something similarly. And for me, the same thing, I had the same thought about you. Like, even though we're from two different worlds, two different countries, we've never really met physically, but the interactions we've had is very familiar. And your message, the way you speak, the way you communicate is something that it was so familiar to me and is still familiar to me. So it's like something I've known like my whole lifetime or previous lifetimes, if you believe in such
Of
things.
course.
So why I'm saying is that I don't feel like I don't fit in is because I was meant to be here on earth in this moment in time and to do whatever I've been meant to do and to experience whatever I'm supposed to experience and learn those lessons and to follow my life purpose, as Sanjeev Chopra says, our dharma. So Sanjeev has been so influential in my life as well. But so it's about that knowing and that oneness, that we all connected. So somehow I'm not trying to fit in, and I don't, maybe other people might perceive it as I'm trying to fit in. That might be their perception. But to be honest, this is me, this is who I am. Accept me the way I am. Like me or don't like me, I'm not going to try and fit in to the norm. I'm not going to try and fit in to that box or that stereotype of just being a doctor or just being a psychiatrist, because we each have come. God has given us these amazing gifts and talents and skills, and it's up to each of us to remember who we were, because it's about remembering. It's again, it's taking us back to that moment of remembering in God's eyes how we were created, why we were created, and for what purpose we were created, and to be in that oneness. So if we in that oneness together with everyone else, then there's no need to fit in with any person. There's no need, there's no effort. It should be effortless.
I can't think of a better place to end our conversation than on that beautiful summary of where it was. I want to thank you so much for taking your time, sharing your knowledge, taking time and having the courage to come and sit with someone who you didn't have any idea what they were going to ask you or what was going to really be told, and just have a beautiful conversation from your heart, from your soul, from your spirit, and from your person, and to be in this moment, as you say, and just to be available and here and present, and to share what it is you have, and to be open to hearing the world around you. What a beautiful person you are. I am so happy to be able to introduce you to the other beautiful people that will be a part of this. I'm so thankful to Vikki Thomas, who's the founder and creator of Hit Talks, that it was through her work that we got to meet each other. Thank you, Vikki. Thank you, Seshni. And thank you for those of you who've taken the time to listen. Until soon.
Thank you so much, Danny. It's such an honor and privilege. As I said, it was like a dream come true to have this opportunity to talk to you, and to share this moment. I didn't have any expectations, and it definitely, this whole process has seemed so effortless. And I think it's because you have that ability to create such magic, like Vikki talks about magic and the hit talks and the magic that's created. I do believe that that's exactly what you are creating. And I must say, I'm so grateful and honored. You're such a humble person. And, reading about your bio and, all what you've achieved with Hay House and the entrepreneurs and helping people build their dreams and pursue their dreams and their careers. I would have never imagined in my lifetime that I would actually be having this talk with you and sharing my voice, someone that you never knew before, and actually a stranger, as you've just pointed out, about your book and about Mo meeting strangers. So you've actually done that with me. And I mean, honestly, I'm lost for words as to how grateful I am to know that someone from such has achieved so much in this lifetime, has actually taken the time out to listen to me and actually to be able to share my voice with other people. It's honestly from the bottom of my heart, I'm going to burst into tears because I actually feel it's, I really am so grateful. And I'm grateful to Vikki Thomas for getting us connected, because through her hit talks and the amazing work that she's doing with Sanjeev Chopra and Amita Chopra and Rick as well, that through them this has happened. So thank you so much. And namaste means I'm honoring the divine in me, honors the divine in you, Danny, and I'm so, so grateful. And I can't wait to read your book. So I'm hoping that I can share more wisdom about the hidden messages and the psychologically mindedness that has gone into that book, which you're obviously not going to share with me yet. So that's probably for another podcast where I'm going to be interviewing you on that.
I would love that. And I hope that this will be the beginning of a lot of conversations, because you're my sister, you're my friend, and I love you, and anything that I can do to be a support to you and to help you, and to not help you to because you don't need my help, but just to be there to hold you, to hold the space for you to be able to speak your message would be my honor. So thank you so much. Thank you for those of you who have tuned in to this incredibly beautiful conversation. We are moving towards our 50 people, and once we get to 50, we'll grow it to more people, because these conversations have been just so beautiful, so fruitful. And we will post this on YouTube as a conversation, and then we will start to edit them down to make them into a 1 hour presentation that has lots of people's points of view. Until then, you want to say one more thing before we go?
That is so amazing. I can't wait to listen to the other conversations and also to re-listen to this recording. Thank you so much. And it's really such an amazing. It's amazing, as it's
I,
amazing, and it's amazing that this is going to happen. And I love it that you said, I love you, because when we finished the hit talks, I think Rick's message was, don't wait to tell people how you feel about them. Share how much, share that love, and you tell people how you feel. And that should be a message to other people. Don't hold back. Tell people how you feel about them. Life is so precious. We've all learned that it's so precious in this time. So thank you again.
absolutely. Thank you all for coming to listen. And until next time, we'll see you soon.